Alright folks, welcome to Premium Fuel Mag. We are in the driveway today and we're working on the Miata. Once again, getting this thing ready to move from out of its spot that it's in and take it into the garage and do a little bit of work on it. But it's not going in the garage today. We're just tying up some things that we need to do in order to get it there. So basically goals for today are we're going to be replacing the hood. I picked up another hood and we're going to try and finish up the exhaust. So the reason I'm replacing the hood is because this car was covered in a horrible plasti dip, and I did something really dumb and I tried to remove it with a belt sander. No folks, WD-40 does not work. That is a lie. It wasn't coming off, and then I used a sanding disc, which was really dumb. I messed up the hood, and then I tried to fix it with a belt sander, which was also really dumb. So maybe for an experienced body working person, they could work with this thing, but I pretty much ruined it for my purposes. So it's gonna be easier for me to just replace it. Plus I did a really bad job on my hood pin holes, so I get a chance to redo that as well. Alright guys, so off camera I worked on these two pieces right here, and these are the beginnings of my exhaust. They're going to basically connect to the headers, and I'm going to build the exhaust off of them. As you can see, I've got my flex pipes and my V-bands. These two go hand in hand. Anytime you have a V-band, you got to have a flex pipe because that takes stress off of the clamp, the V-band clamp, because that can get jacked up if you have like too much stress on it. So you want to protect those things. So this piece goes in the car, something like that. You know, if you're looking at it from the front, this piece will go in the car basically like that. That's going to run 90 degrees. We're going to wire that thing together, run it straight back, and we're going to make a really cool exhaust tip. One last thing that I'm going to need to work out, I'll probably do that as I start to build the exhaust, is I have to find a place to put my O2 sensor. This was my test pipe. We're going to end up not using this section right here, but I do need to get my O2 sensor out of there. Alright guys, after a lot of trips back and forth under the car and mocking up and cutting and tacking and then welding, this is what I've come up with. So this is basically what it looks like from underneath the car if you were looking at the car from the front end. So what I'm trying to do now is basically create a Y to join those sections, and it's kind of difficult because that has to be exact. I'm not going to have any wiggle room there. But I wanted to pull everything out and just get a look at it and actually show you guys what we're dealing with. So basically what we've done so far is we put the O2 sensor bung on, we've got this angle correct, and then we extended the pipe. This passes through the frame rail right there, and yeah, now we just have to wire this thing together. And I do really want to give it some good angle because it's not good to have this thing, you know, going 90 degrees into that thing. I want to give it as shallow of an angle as possible. So maybe something around like 45 degrees. So we'll see how we make that happen. Alright, after thinking about it for about 10 seconds, I just got an idea. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my shorter sections of pipe, and we're going to extend this guy back this direction so that it basically goes past the point of where we need it to go. And from there, I'm going to try and figure out how to make that a nice smooth transition. Alright, we've got the passenger side back in the car just to see where everything lays, and I actually went ahead and did another out of the car mock-up. So once again, this is the situation we're dealing with underneath the car right now. It looks almost exactly like this, the way the pipes are running. So I need to get this pipe from here to here, and I need to create some additional angles. So what I think I'm going to do is take this pipe here and cut a lot of angle into it, just make like a really weird shape out of that, which you'll see in just a moment, and try to wedge that in between there and weld that all together. We'll see how it turns out. Alright guys, trying to figure out how I'm going to join these two pipes at whatever angle they're coming out at, and I'm having to make like this compound notch, so it's not just your regular notch, it's like a notch at an angle, and doing it completely eyeball and freehand because I don't know what I'm doing. And I came up with this really, really ugly shape. That's what the other piece looks like. But surprisingly, it actually fits together very close to how I want it. That line actually shows the direction of the, that I want the pipe to go in, and that's how it's actually going to join. So Yeah, it's not super close, but I can fill that in with weld. That's not an issue for me. I don't know, I have to figure it out. I think what I'm gonna do is just go ahead and weld my joint that way and then join the other pipe to it. I think that might be the easiest option for me. Alright guys, here's what we came up with, and things are shaping up really nicely. So that's gonna fit together like that. Then we're gonna join that to the rest of the system. Alright guys, quick break. My assistant wanted to come out, check things out, and I don't know, see what's going on with the exhaust that we've got. So we're gonna go ahead and pop underneath the car real quick, and I'm gonna show you guys what we got going on. Alright guys, so I've been doing a lot of mock-ups on the table, and I figured we might as well go ahead and hop underneath the car so you guys can see what this actually looks like under here. So, alright, right here we have, space is limited under here guys, so hold on a second. Alright guys, we're underneath the car now, and you're not going to be able to see that well just because of the lighting or whatever. But I figured it'd be better to take a look underneath and see what we actually got going on here. So this is the bottom of the header, and we're coming across from here. Over to the other side of the car. And right now this is the second section of the actual exhaust. The downpipe from the header is actually up here, so this is a separate piece that we're actually going to pull off. And what we've been trying to do is get everything to line up and line to go straight back in this direction. So the last piece that we have of this puzzle is we basically need to cut this pipe and join it in line with this pipe here, and that's basically what I've been trying to mock up this entire time. Then we can take this whole section out, weld everything together, and then we'll have our Y pipe. We'll put another V-band on here, and that'll be the last section of the exhaust. Alright, so a one more time mock-up of the way things are underneath the car. It sits roughly like this. This is your passenger side, this is your driver's side. That's how the pipe crosses over. And we're going to need to cut here and join these two pipes. And as you can see, I already marked it based on where all of that lines up in the car. So it's taken a lot of work to get to this point, guys. But we're almost there. And then once we do that, I'm going to take this extra section, I'm going to attach it here, I'm going to close that gap, and then we're going to put a V-band on the end of it. Alright, so here we are, mocked up. We're going to tack this in, and then we're going to bring it over to the car for one last test fit before we weld everything together. Alright guys, the Y pipe is all done. And just like I said, we're going to finish this section off with a little bit of a V-band right there. And we're going to steal those V-bands off of my first set of headers that I used when I was going to try and put the exhaust forwards on this car. So let's get that on there, and then we're going to work on our ultra cool exhaust tip. Alright guys, the Y pipe is done. We've got our V-band on the end of here. Down in the comments, comment on how many hours you think it took me to build this whole unit right here. It's going to be interesting to see your answers, and maybe I'll tell you in the next video. Alright guys, time to make my exhaust tip. So once again, like I said, I want to do a NASCAR style exhaust tip, and it's something I've been thinking about doing for a long time. It's going to come out really cool. So basically, I've got my template here, so that's how it's going to stick out of the car, and we're going to attach it to this pipe here, and we're going to be using this square or rectangle tube, whatever you call this stuff, and basically we're going to chop it up to fit this template, and it's going to come out looking really cool. Alright guys, so that's how my exhaust tip is going to look. Obviously it's going to need a lot of cleaning up, but we're going to continue putting this thing together. Alright guys, so here's what it looks like. The exhaust is like 90% finished. As it sits right now, it's probably about 6 to 10 inches longer than it needs to be. So I'm just going to chop that section right there after I get it on the car and mock it up. And the exhaust tip needs a little bit of finish as well. But this is what it looks like, and we're going to go ahead and slap that on the car. Alright, we're going to go ahead and get this hood prepped for primer. Again, this isn't going to be a show car, so I'm not going to go way out of my way to sand and polish and do all that other stuff. We're just going to clean it, we're going to prime it, and eventually everything's going to get painted. Alright folks, we're back in Stu's garage, and so is the Miata. It actually drove in here under its own power, which is amazing. This is a huge milestone for me, and it was great to pull this thing out of the driveway, shift the gears, and then turn it around and drive it back up the driveway. As you can see, the new hood is all installed. I put all the hardware on there, I cut it. I didn't really bother doing any of that stuff on camera because it's not that exciting to see. Also, here's another look at my NASCAR boom tubes. The exhaust that you guys saw me making, and the exposure is kind of funny, so you can't really see how it looks on the car, but that came out beyond awesome. I'm really happy with the way that looks. Unfortunately, there is an exhaust leak somewhere over here, so in my awesome welding job that I did, something didn't get fully welded up. So we're gonna have to take that apart and try to fix that. Besides that, the whole front end has to come apart, all the suspension, because that's all just mocked up right now. All the consumables are bad, and I let the rack get rusty, so I have to actually clean that so that it doesn't tear up the seals and actually destroy the rack. Besides that, the next thing I'm going to do is wire up some electronics. We'll be working on that in the next video. And this is my to-do list of things left on the car that I know that I need to do. And of course, there's always going to be onesies and twosies of things that need to get done also as I discover them along the way. So, doing my best to keep up my momentum on this project, guys. Can't work on it every day the way that I wish I could, but we're still going to get this thing done. And once it's done, I'm going to drive this thing like I stole it. So, keep watching. I appreciate your support, and we'll catch you on the next one.